Sup gang, Sheets here with a quick video on my first impressions of Enhancement Shaman in the 11.1 PTR. A disclaimer before we get into it, this being PTR, an actual patch launch just over 6 weeks out, anything could change. This isn't meant to be a guide on the new build, but more so an introduction to start getting you comfortable with what we'll likely be faced with in Season 2. First, let's look at the tier set bonuses. This patch, all roles will get the same 2-set bonus, and the 4-set will be class and spec specific. For melee DPS, the 2-set bonus is Winning Streak. Spells and abilities have a chance to give you a stack of Winning Streak, increasing your Storm Strike, Crash Lightning, and Lava Lash damage by 5%, stackable up to 5 times for a total bonus of 25%. However, anytime you spend Maelstrom, you have a 15% chance to remove all stacks of Winning Streak. The 4-set bonus makes every stack of Winning Streak you gain reduce the cooldown of Doom Winds by 2 seconds, and every Maelstrom weapon spent reduce the cooldown by 1 second. This Kiss Curse impact to Maelstrom spending could go one of 2 ways. The first, which is seemingly what the Enhancement Shaman community is currently leaning toward, is to put Maelstrom spending at the bottom of the priority list, since it could remove your Winning Streak stacks. The second, which I'm somewhat leaning toward, is to spend Maelstrom while Doom Winds is off cooldown and save it while it's active. I did a very little amount of testing on these, but the second did seem to produce more DPS. That said, I need to test it a lot more and changes are likely still coming, so it might not even be worth testing it further quite yet. Now let's look quickly at stats. Agility is still king with haste right behind it. Crit and mastery are currently a toss-up, but I'm leaning toward mastery. My only hesitation is Storm Surge is fairly useless in the totemic build, which seems to be the best for Mythic Plus. That said, our mastery also increases fire, frost, and nature damage, which is still a key part of the totemic damage profile, making mastery still relevant. For the tier pieces, if mastery ends up higher prio than crit, then you'll want the helm, shoulders, gloves, and legs. If crit ends up being prio over mastery, then swap the legs for the chest. Again, however, take this with a grain of salt, as I have not looked at the other gear pieces in raid or dungeons that could replace some of these tier pieces and actually be better. Now let's look at the build. I briefly tried Stormbringer and was outputting much less DPS than with Totemic, so I'm only going to go over the Totemic build in this video. Once 11.1 is officially released and all the kinks have been worked out, I'll work on a more in-depth guide that breaks down both options. With all the changes to enhance in 11.1, we're now switching to Lava Lash being the main focus of our rotation. Starting with the enhancement tree, we're taking every Lava Lash related talent down to Lashing Flames. Molten Assault has been upgraded to now apply Flame Shock to 5 nearby enemies rather than 4, which makes our lives much easier. Hot Hands allows us to use Lava Lash in nearly every global when active. More to come on that in a bit. Ashen Catalyst buffs your Lava Lash damage, bringing us back to our funnel damage glory of the good old days, and Lashing Flames causes Lava Lash and Sundering to double the damage done by Flame Shock. Moving to the center of the tree, we're taking Molten Thunder, which lets us spam Sundering more often, and Crashing Storms to buff our Crash Lightning. To touch on that, 11.1 brings an increase to Crash Lightning damage by 200%, as well as 100% bonus to damage from Storm Strike and Lava Lash. Primordial Wave received a big change. It now sends elemental damage to all Flame Shock targets. Gone are the days of pairing this with Tempests. Big sad, but also this still feels pretty good. We also got a new capstone talent in Primordial Storm, which is what Primordial Wave turns into after it's used. Primordial Storm is a single-use ability that causes an AoE storm, dishing out Flame Strike, Frost Strike, and Storm Strike damage, and sends a Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning at 150% effectiveness. We're also taking Splintered Elements in this build to give us that tasty, hasty boost. Moving to the hero tree, Searing Bolt and Searing Volley from the Lively Totems talent got a 40% buff, the Sundering proc from the Reactivity talent got a 20% buff, and the Earth Surge Tremor damage was cut in half to 100% effectiveness from 200%. For choice nodes, we're taking Amplification Core, Pulse Capacitor, and Earth Surge. Oversized Totems versus Swift Recall is a personal preference. Last update from 11.1 is Surging Totem, while active, is replaced with a relocation spell that summons your Surging Totem nearby, usable every 6 seconds. I haven't seen this actually show up in the PTR yet, maybe I'm just not seeing it. Drop a comment if you've been able to use this and I'm just blind. Now for the rotation, again as things currently stand, which is likely to change once the patch is released, so take this with a big grain of salt. Always start every pull by dropping your Surging Totem on the target or targets. Immediately send Flame Shock to use your Earth Mote, which increases Flame Shock's damage by 300% and applies it to 5 nearby enemies. Next, you'll want to send Primordial Wave, which builds a Maelstrom to prime your Splintered Elements and Legacy of the Frost Witch when you send Primordial Storm. This usually results in almost your full 10 Maelstrom weapon stacks, so send a Crash Lightning to get the rest of the way there. If that still doesn't do it, then you can use a Lava Lash. Once at 10 stacks, send a Primordial Storm, which will give you up to 34% increased haste for 12 seconds from Splintered Elements and will activate Legacy of the Frost Witch. It also uses up your air mode. Follow up Primordial Storm with Doom Winds. From here, if you used Lava Lash already, then you'll have used your Fire Mote, which grants Hot Hands. In that case, you want to prioritize Lava Lash whenever possible. At the start, while Legacy of the Frost Witch is active, you want to send this every other global, with Sundering being cast in between. If you hadn't used Lava Lash yet, then go right into Sundering, resending it whenever the ability resets. In AoE, you can usually get 3 to 5 Sunderings in a row before it goes on cooldown. Now, anyone who lived in the glory days of tab targeting Lava Lash to spread Lashing Flames, you'll be happy to hear that you no longer need to do that. Since Sundering is reset so often with Molten Thunder, paired with Lava Lash flash sending a sundering during your hot hands window, you'll have lashing flames up automatically on every target hit by your sunderings. This makes life a lot easier since tap targeting your lava lashes, at least to me, was kind of a nightmare. After this, you essentially want to send lava lash and crash lightning on cooldown, ensure Legacy of the Frost Witch is always active for your manual sunderings for the 25% physical damage boost, and send Doom Winds ahead of your manual sunderings, or on cooldown depending on how often it's reset. Whether or not you should spend Maelstrom weapon stacks to reset your Doom Winds faster is still up for debate, but right now that's how I'm playing it, and it's a nice combo of the current playstyle and the new one, and seems to be a DPS increase. Wrapping up, Enhance is still in a really good spot going into Season 2, and will likely still be a meta class for our damage and dungeon utility and raid buff. New players to Enhancement Shaman will be happy, as this is definitely a more simple rotation than the current Stormbringer build. As a reminder, take this entire video with a big grain of salt, since literally everything could change between now and 11.1 launch. Hop in the Discord if you have questions or comments, and watch me on Twitch. I stream most nights. Rock on.